A pest control owner told us last spring that he was getting 30 ad clicks a day and one phone call. He was ready to fire his marketing company. Turns out the ads were working fine. His website was the problem, and that's something we hear from operators constantly.
So we pulled the real questions pest control owners keep asking us, and we're answering them today.
Welcome to Pest Control Marketing That Actually Works, the podcast for pest control operators who want real growth, not empty promises. I'm Adam Bennett.
And I'm Elisabeth Pallante. We're from Cube Creative Design, and for over 20 years, we've helped pest control companies stop wasting money and start growing.
This is a listener Q&A. These are real questions we hear from pest control owners week after week. And here's what we're tackling. How much should you actually spend on ads before it stops paying off? Can you tell where your leads really come from, or are you just guessing? And do reviews really move the needle, or is that just something that people say?
It's a great tagline. 6 questions total. Let's get into them. All right. So, Adam, question number 1, I'm going to go for you. How much should I spend on ads, and how do I know when more money stops paying off?
So this is the number one question we get, and I get why. Nobody really wants to just pour money into ads and just watch it disappear. So here's an honest answer. There's no magic number, but there is a starting range. So across pest control companies that we work with, 2 truck operations up through 15 truck shops, marketing budgets typically land between 8 and 12% of revenue. If you're trying to grow aggressively, you push more towards 12. If you're holding steady, 8 is typically the floor. Below 8, and you're really just starving your lead pipeline. But here's your real question about the ceiling. So when does more money stop working? And here's how you find it. You're going to watch your cost per lead, your CPL, and as long as you add budget and your cost per lead stays flat, keep going. But the moment that you add money to your cost per lead and that starts climbing, you've hit the ceiling for right now. So that's a really good signal to stop spending more and fix something else. Your website, your phone script, your landing page, before you add any more money.
Yeah. And for right now, it's kind of a key point in there too, right? For right now, it could change. So there's also a mistake here I see that's worth calling out. Owners who watch total spend instead of cost per lead. So you can spend $5,000 a month and get great results if your cost per lead is $40. You can spend $2,000 a month and get terrible results if your cost per lead is $200. The total number doesn't tell you anything useful. Cost per lead is the only number that really matters.
And one more thing. A lot of owners tell me that their budget burns up by noon on the first day, and that's not the budget's fault. That's a targeting or a bidding problem. So throwing more money at a broken campaign just means that you're going to lose it faster. So fix the campaign first.
Okay, question number 2. Are local services ads worth it, especially when bad leads are so hard to deal with?
Yeah, that's a big question too. So local services ads, or LSAs, that's the Google verified ones at the top with the blue check mark. They can work really well for pest control and other home service industries. But the bad lead problem is real, and it changed significantly in 2024. So if you used to run LSAs, you remember being able to manually dispute a bad lead, pick a reason, submit it, and then you get credit within 48 hours. That system is gone. So Google replaced it with an automated system where their AI reviews every charged lead and decides on its own whether you get credit. So the honest answer is LSAs are still worth testing, but you have way less control than you used to. So Google's machine learning reviews your leads, and it takes about 72 hours after it's charged. It decides whether a lead was a spam, if it was a duplicate, if it was a wrong number. And for any of those, you'll get credit automatically. But if it doesn't flag it, really your only option is to rate this lead using that button in your dashboard.
Yeah, so this gets really frustrating. We've definitely talked with people about this. The rate this lead button is your one lever. You click it, select dissatisfied or very dissatisfied, choose a specific reason like spam or solicitation or wrong number, and then you submit it. So that can trigger a credit review, but the success rate is a lot lower than the old manual disputes. Industry data pulls it at roughly 15 to 25% of flagged leads actually getting credited. So you're getting credits on maybe 1 in 4 to 1 in 6 bad leads that you rate, which sucks. And here's the part that really matters for pest control operators. 2 categories that used to qualify for disputes no longer earn credits at all. So job type not serviced and geo not serviced are the two. So if someone calls you about a service you don't offer or from a zip code outside your area, Google will not credit you. Period. That means your profile setup is now the most important thing that you control. If your service categories and service areas aren't really tight, you're paying for mismatched leads with zero recourse.
So the old advice was dispute every bad lead. The new advice is get your profile right so bad leads don't come in the first place. So you can tighten your service categories to only service the work that you actually do. So you narrow your service area to only the zip codes that you serve, and then you rate every single lead, good and bad, because that trains the Google's algorithm to send you better matches over time. So contractors who rate every lead consistently have reported that they get better lead quality within 60 to 90 days compared to those who just ignore the feedback tool completely.
Yeah. And also to add one more thing, don't build your whole pipeline on LSAs. They're a good complement to Google Ads and SEO, but they're a rented channel where Google changes the rules whenever they want. So they just proved that Google just proved that by killing the dispute system. So if your entire lead flow depends on LSAs, you're one policy change away from a really bad month.
Okay, so Elizabeth, I got a question for you. So, how do I know where my leads actually came from when half my customers just say, saw you on Google?
Such a funny answer. Yeah. Okay. So this one does drive owners crazy and for good reason. You ask a new customer how they found you. They say Google and that tells you pretty much nothing. So a Google search, the map, an ad, a review someone read, all of those are Google. So the fix is call tracking. You use different phone numbers for different sources. So when the phone rings, you know exactly what made it actually ring. CallRail does this really well. Your website gets one number, your Google business profile gets another, your paid ads get yet another. Now, when someone calls, you see the source before you even answer. So here's why this matters for your money. Once you can see which source produces booked jobs, not just calls, you stop guessing. You put more money where the jobs are coming from and pull it where they aren't. So we had a client last quarter who was spending about 40% of his budget on a channel that produced 12% of his booked jobs. He didn't know until we turned on call tracking. So that's money you're losing every month. You don't have this in place, basically.
Yeah, yep. So here's question 4. I show up in the map pack sometimes, but not on regular search results. What's going on?
This is a tricky one. It's a great question. And it's two different things getting kind of tangled up together. So the map pack, that box with 3 businesses and a map, is powered by your Google business profile. The regular search results below it are powered by your website. They're two very different separate systems. You can rank well in one and be invisible in the other. So if you show up in the map, but not in organic results, that usually means your business profile is in decent shape, but your website is not ranking. That's a content and authority problem. You need more pages, more depth, and more actual freshness on the site itself. We talked about this in detail in episode 29, the authority side of the cube score. So the short version of that is that 5 service pages really aren't enough to get you to rank there.
And this actually connects to a bigger argument that we've been making on the show since January. Really, the map pack is great, but it's a rented position. Google can change how it works tomorrow. Your website content is owned. That is all you. And that really compounds from month to month. It feeds AI search, it feeds Google search, it's got SEO built into it. And if you're only investing in your business profile and ignore the website, you're really building on ground you don't own.
One more thing on the map pack, if you've ever seen your old address show up, that's almost always a duplicate profile floating around from a previous listing. So if your business moved, you have to update the address in your profile and then hunt down any duplicates and get them removed. It can be quite a bit more than what you expect. If you don't, Google gets confused about which one is actually real. So search your business name right now and check, any spot that might be showing up. Okay. Adam, question number 5. My ad clicks look fine, but nobody calls or fills out the form. Is it my ads or is it my website?
Yeah, so if people are clicking but they're not calling, your ads did the job. So they found you. They got people to show up. But the problem is what really happens after they land, and that's typically your website. So walk through it yourself on your phone right now. Is your phone number at the top? Is it big? Can you tap it and it automatically opens up the phone to call. Is there a form on the same page as the service that they searched for, or do they have to click through to a separate Contact Us page to get to that form? Does the page load fast, or does it hang for a few seconds while somebody's standing there in their kitchen looking at ants? We audited a client's site last month. They were getting about 400 ad clicks a month and 8 leads. An 8 out of 400, that's 2% conversion rate. So we cut their form from 7 fields to 3 fields. We embedded it on every service page and made the phone number tap friendly on mobile. The same traffic, same ads, and their conversion rate went to 5.5% the next month. That's 22 leads instead of 8 for the exact same ad spend.
Huge. So, and here's the business math side of that. So if their average job is $350, those 14 extra leads at a 50% close rate are 7 extra jobs. That's almost $2,500 a month in new revenue from a website fix that took a weekend. No additional ad spend. So this is why we always say fix the capture before you increase the budget.
Here's a quick test that anybody can do. Hand your phone to someone who's never seen your site. Say, pretend you have a wasp nest. Get help. And watch what they do. Wherever they get stuck or confused, that's what is costing you calls.
Yeah, it's a great test. Kind of fun.
Okay, Elizabeth, I got one more question for you. So, does Facebook or Instagram actually bring in pest control jobs, or is it a waste of time?
People are going to hate this answer. It's both, depending on how you use them. So here's the honest split. Someone with a wasp nest right now is not scrolling Facebook looking for a pest control company. They're on Google. So social media is not where you catch the person who needs you this minute right now. What social does really well is keep you top of mind so that when a bug problem does show up, you're the name they already know. They already recognize when they do search. So consistent posting a couple times a week, showing real jobs, real results, a quick tip, all of that builds familiarity and trust. So it's the slow, steady drumbeat that makes all your other marketing work that much better.
Yeah, and I'll really be direct on the paid side. If you are spending money on Facebook ads specifically, hold them to the same standard as everything else. So track whether they turned into book jobs. We had a client who shut off Facebook ads for 2 months just to prove to himself that they weren't working. And his branded Google search traffic, people typing his company name directly, dropped 22% over those 2 months. So the social ads were working, but he just couldn't see it in the place that he was keeping track of all of that data. But it doesn't mean that every dollar on Facebook is well spent. So if you can't trace any lift in the branded search or direct traffic after 90 days of social ads, pull the budget and put it somewhere where it's measurable. Brand building is real, but it's not an excuse for spending money with no accountability.
Right. Yeah. And if you've got limited time and no ad budget for social, 2 solid organic posts a week, just you posting, what you're doing and before and after, whatever, a shot showing like how you handled something beats 10 rushed ones. Show the real work. That's free and it compounds. Okay. So here's your one thing to fix this week. Go search your own business name in Google right now from your phone. Look at what comes up. Is your address right? Is your phone number right? Do you see 1 clean listing or do you see 2? If something's wrong or there's a duplicate, that's your fix this week. It's free, it takes 5 minutes, and a wrong address quietly costs you calls every single day.
That's it. 5 minutes in the parking lot between calls. That is it. Okay. So here are 3 things to take on your next drive.
All right. Number 1, there's no magic ad budget. Watch your cost per lead. When more money stops bringing leads at the same cost, you've hit your ceiling for them. So fix something else before spending more. Number 2, stop guessing where leads come from. Use call tracking so you know which source produces real booked jobs. Then put your money there. Number 3, clicks that don't convert are usually a website problem, not an ad problem. Fix the site before you increase the spend.
And if you want help implementing what we just talked about today, visit marketingthatactuallyworks.ai to get your free pest control marketing audit. We'll show you exactly what's working and what's costing you money.
And if you want to see how your marketing stacks up across all 6 trust signal categories, check your score free at thecubescore.com.
Subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or even now Deezer, whatever that is, so you don't miss next Tuesday's episode, Your Truck as a Marketing Asset. We're going to talk about a moving billboard most pest control companies waste.
Yeah, and if you got value today, leave us a 5-star review. It helps other pest control operators find the show. While you're there, leave us a comment. Let us know what you'd like to hear about next. What matters.
Thanks for listening to Pest Control Marketing That Actually Works. We'll see you next Tuesday.